Hey viewers. So today is supposed to be the literary analysis of BioShock, but truth be told, I had underestimated just how much there is to talk about in that game. So rather than try and rush it out, because the episode's taking a long time to make, it'll probably be the longest of the show so far, I decided to do a simpler episode this week about why I hate on spoilers so much in this show, in order to get a little bit more time to give you and BioShock the literary analysis you deserve. So, without further ado, here's my stance on spoilers. Hello, and welcome to Games is Lit 101. I've made no secret on this show about my distaste for spoilers. In fact, I've made a point to warn you, the viewers, about them whenever they come up, and I have strongly recommended that you play a given game before I talk about it in depth. Now, there are a lot of different ideas on this topic, and it is actually kind of important to the way that we think about and look at the art that we consume, so I figured I'd explain myself. The summary of it is, I don't like spoilers. By which I mean I absolutely loathe them. Like, I'm the guy who will not only do everything in my power to avoid being spoiled on something, but will actually refuse to spoil anything for anyone else, even if they say they don't care or even want to be spoiled. That is how much I hate them. The spoilers, that is, not the people who want to be spoiled. Well, what follows is my reasoning for this stance. Now, my intention isn't to criticize people who disagree with me, or even to advertise this as the one true stance on spoilers or anything like that. That said, I do feel rather strongly on this topic, so just don't mistake my passion for dogma on this one. My views on spoilers are largely rooted in a strong respect for the experience of an artwork. I feel like there's something of an intended experience to be had. It dips a little bit into the concept of authorial intent, but mostly just comes down to the idea that I don't want to undermine the experience a story is granting me. Anyone who's tried their hand at writing, filmmaking, or any other form of telling a story really knows how much work it is to set stuff up. A story is presented in a certain way for a certain reason, and in a good story this is very clearly evident. I mean, have you watched The Sixth Sense a second time, knowing the plot twist? Every element of that movie is built around the final reveal. It's all foreshadowing or theme building, and it takes multiple watch-throughs to catch even half the stuff in it. So much work was put into building up that reveal. The entire movie is built around that single twist. It takes a ton of work, from the writing to the editing to the cinematography to the acting. All sorts of effort go into building up and revealing that twist. It's meant to build suspense. The entire movie is meant to build suspense and to lull us into thinking we have a decent understanding of what's going on before just twisting everything we thought we knew on its head. It's the entire beauty of that film, really. And if you already know what's coming, nothing happens. Now, admittedly, The Sixth Sense is a really big example, since the entire movie is built around that plot twist, but it does work for smaller things too. I mean, this is why people hate spoilers for Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead, because knowing when a character is going to die just takes all the tension out of it. And it may even make it harder to connect with that character because you already know you're going to be hurt later on down the road. Now, of course, a story is more than just its basic events, and a really good, well-told story can be powerful and affecting even if you already know what's going to happen. I mean, a friend showed me Serenity before I saw Firefly, which, in hindsight, why would you do that to someone? But in any case, when I went back and watched Firefly, there were some characters that I expected to just not get connected to because I knew that they were going to die in the end. And I did anyway. I really did, because Firefly is just that freaking brilliant. But, you know, the fact that it was that good and got me that connected to the characters even through that really just made me wish that I didn't already know what I did. There's still a desired effect, and it goes far beyond just the simple knowledge of an event. Presentation matters. It's not just the knowledge of a character's death that makes you sad, it's the way it happens, the reactions of the other characters, and the expectations that you held. All things that are severely weakened by knowing what's going to happen ahead of time. Indeed, a story is more than just its basic events. It's also presentation. This is why reading a Wikipedia summary of BioShock isn't the same as actually playing it. Just knowing what the twist is and experiencing the twist after 15 hours of gameplay, tension, and foreshadowing are two completely different experiences. A good story is lovingly and skillfully crafted. So much time and effort and work goes into effectively telling a story, and to me, it just seems disrespectful to learn about the events of a story instead of actually experiencing what an artist created for you. It's like if someone makes you a home-cooked meal and you just toss it all into a blender to drink as a smoothie on the go, or they send you on an all-expense-paid vacation to Paris and you spend the entire time looking at pictures of the Louvre on the internet in your hotel room. That said, I know it gets a little complicated sometimes. Like, I know people with genuine emotional issues that probably shouldn't experience some stories without a little bit of fair warning about some of the stuff that happens in them. Or, heck, for instance, my mom is never, ever going to play Telltale's The Walking Dead because she can't handle that level of gore and probably also that level of emotional trauma, so I've just talked with her openly about it. The point is, I know this isn't a completely black and white issue. But I've also heard a lot of really weak excuses, like, I don't own the system it's on, so I'll never get to play it anyway. Look, in almost every instance where someone's told me that, they've either gotten the system eventually, or the game was eventually ported to a system they already had. It's worth waiting to experience a work properly, rather than just ruining it for yourself out of short-sighted impatience. The other one I often see is, well, I'm not interested in it, so I don't care. Look, no. We've all read a book, watched a movie, or played a video game we didn't expect to like, and ended up loving. It's happened to all of us. There is no harm in just giving something a chance, and especially if it's a well-regarded, highly recommended work, I think it deserves at least that much. All it comes down to is that I want to experience a story in the best way possible. And when so much effort goes into providing me with an experience, I feel like respecting that effort, that intended presentation, is incredibly important. As I said, that's how I approach it. So, do you agree, or do you think spoilers don't really make that big a difference? Whatever your stance, go ahead and talk about it in the comments, and if you like the episode, the subscribe button is right down there too. And if you really like the series, please consider supporting it on Patreon. The link for that is down in the description. So, next week we will finally be talking about BioShock. What it means, how it works, and why it is one of the greatest video games ever made. So, until then, class is dismissed.